All right, at the sprawling Jeff Mayweather estate once again here in Summerlin, Nevada.
Sprawling.
All right, Jeff, you're getting ready to take off, but you're going to be back in time for Floyd. Early thoughts on Floyd's camp, what you've seen so far, anything you can...
I mean, this camp has pretty much been like the other camps, but I think that this time around he got a couple of guys that are actually, that are emulating the Maidana style of fighting much more than last time.
Floyd has a history of doing much better the second time around with opponents. Most consider that, or would say that Maidana doesn't really have much that he can bring new to the table for the second time around. That being said, how do you expect this second fight to go? Do you think it's something that Floyd has been in there once, seen it, and is gonna, put on a better performance this time?
Yes, I think that this time around, I think that Floyd will perform a whole lot better. I think that this time around he'll probably box a little bit more, and also I think that unfortunately Tony Weeks had a horrible night that night and allowed Maidana to get away with almost everything that was illegal in boxing. It was more like Maidana was fighting MMA and Floyd was boxing. So this time around, whoever's the referee, I know is going to be real stern and take control of the fight early. And with Maidana not being able to do all the dirty tactics that he did last time, I mean that really lessens his chance of winning.
Although most people think that Floyd won the first fight, there are varying opinions from Maidana winning the fight to being a draw to Floyd winning. Do you think the first fight, was it closer than you expected? Or were you surprised that Maidana was able to be effective at moments?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that Maidana looked better than expected, and because that people are used to seeing Floyd whitewash everyone, maybe 10 rounds or 2 at best. So to see a guy that won a few early rounds, made people think that wow, and they gave him way more credit than he deserved. He's a guy who threw 800 punches, but missed 500. So I mean, and Floyd threw 400 and landed just as many punches as he did. So I mean, that in itself, shows that the fight was, a lot of people thought that Maidana was doing something when he actually wasn't. But at the same time, I mean, I think that, of course, this time around, Maidana, he's going to come because he did have some great moments in the fight, and was able to land a couple shots. So I'm sure he's going to come hard. He's going to come hard. He hired Victor Conte, so ain't no telling what can come out of that. But it is what it is. And I think that Floyd's gonna beat him. Floyd's gonna beat him decisive, just like with most people that actually seen the first fight. Once they got a chance to watch it the second time around, everyone said that the score was much wider than they thought it was.
All right, with all fighters, eventually Father Time catches up with them. It'll be no different for Floyd at some point. That's kind of the X factor here, wondering, is this the fight? Of course, I say it every fight, but is this a fight where it does finally catch up to him? Thoughts on that? I mean, is it something you're concerned about right now, or do you think that's something that Floyd will kind of know beforehand and maybe get out of the game before that happens?
Well, I would certainly hope so. But I mean, you can never say what's going to happen in a boxing match, and that's why it's the theater of unexpected. And that's why you have upsets, but at the same time, I mean, from what I see, I mean, Floyd hasn't slowed down at all. I mean, Floyd's still working just as hard as he did when he was, when he was 20 years old. So, he's a guy that's made hundreds of millions of dollars, but still, he's working like a guy that had never made a dime. And I think that is the driving force, and of course the people that actually are hoping, praying, and waiting for that final day for him to lose. And I think that drives him more than anything.
Is that the most impressive thing about Floyd, is that he's the highest paid athlete in sports, yet he, by most accounts works harder than anyone else, that you can still have all that money but yet still have the drive and determination and never kind of just settle?
Yeah, I think that was instilled in him as a kid. Floyd started boxing really by the time he was 3 years old. You know, from the day he was born, his dad was sticking his hand up for him to punch. And the second he was able to actually, you know, consciously, you know, understand what he was doing and knowing that he was actually, you know, putting on a glove and punching at something, you know, it never stopped. You know, it was one of those situations where, you know, to me, I always say it's like it was like he was born in a communist country because he had no choice of what he was going to do, and his dad made the choice for him. But it's one of those situations that you know, he fell in love with what he was doing and he became the best in the world at it. So, and today, I mean, he would actually have to be considered. You know, I mean, people always say that, you know, the best ever, the best ever. I mean, at this point, he would have to be considered the best ever because he's 37 years old. There's never been a fighter at the age of 37 considered the best fighter in the world. I mean, most fighters, the great fighters, the fighters that, you know, we talk about, the Ray Robinsons, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Ray Leonard. These guys were, you know, I mean, they were half the fighter they was when they was in their early 30s. You know, and so if Floyd, you know, if he said he's the best ever at 37 years old and being the best fighter in the world, I think that's probably a true statement.
All right, man. Well, we'll find out September 13th. We'll talk to you when you get back. Just last thing, what's in heavy rotation?
You the white people buy my record first. I bet you weren't ready for that one.